for days. So you're just what's for lunch, what's for dinner? Could we rebuild the hall, babe? No little friend throwing rocks on your window, asking you to come out because the night is warm. What was the thing we get in older wise? I would rather stay young and dumb. Explaining as though I will get it this time. I would rather stay young and dumb.
Charlie?
Hey, yeah.
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. Greetings from Atlanta, Georgia, in the U.S.
All right. Cool.
Thanks for taking the time to talk, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
So I got to be 100%. I've never even heard word one about your band ever. And then on Thursday or Friday, I think, a good friend of mine who lives in Sweden, his name is Jacob Hellrud. He plays in Children of the Sun.
Yeah, I know. I don't think I met him, but I know who it is. We played at the same festival a couple of years
Yes,
back.
that's what he told me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he sends me we were chatting and he sends me something and he says, "You have to look at this press release." And I said, "Okay," because I've been a music journalist for about almost 14 years now. And
Yeah.
he said you're either going to think this is the best press release you've ever read or the worst press release you've ever read. And I was like, "Send it over to me." And I read that press release, and the minute I got done reading it, I pulled up your album on Spotify,
Yeah.
and I Endless Optimism, and I listened to it, and I am not kidding that it is one of my favorite albums of the year so far.
Whoa. Whoa. Shit. Oh, that's a great story. I love it.
I have listened to this album probably 4 times, and it is such a great. It is the most un-Swedish Swedish band I've ever heard.
Well, I take that as a total compliment because, I mean, we are Swedish, but we don't really listen to that much Swedish music, to be honest. I mean, there's some obviously really good bands from Sweden. I love ABBA. That's about it.
Mhm.
I don't listen to the kind of bands that you would think I would listen to, but the stuff that I grew up with, like ABBA. Everyone is like, whether they admit it or not, everyone likes ABBA.
That's what Jacob told me. He said, because he said something about ABBA once, and I was like, "Are you an ABBA fan?" He goes, "I'm Swedish."
Yeah,
Of course I am.
yeah. It's like, I mean, I don't know what would be the same thing in America. You have so much great culture in America.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It would be like saying that you don't like the American flag or something. I don't know.
Or it'd be saying like we don't like pizza, or like
Yeah.
And that's not even
I don't know.
American.
Nah,
we don't like
but-
hamburgers.
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, hamburger. Yeah, you hate hamburgers. It's the worst food ever.
Well, so it was really exciting for me to hear this because, and don't get me wrong, like I would say that probably 75 to 80% of the music I listen to is either Finnish or Swedish, because
Oh.
I mean, American music right now or at least over the past 10 to 15 years, like, hasn't really excited me with the exception of a few bands. But like over the past 12, 13, I mean, you've got Graveyard out of Sweden, you've got Jess and the Ancient Ones from Finland, you got Kadavar from Germany. I mean, and these are my favorite bands, but they have a very distinct sound that almost kind of ties into where they're from. But when I listened to Endless Optimism, I heard elements of the Allman Brothers, Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show, with a voice that sounded like Frank Zappa singing at times.
Oh, thanks.
And but like there were just some, you know, but there was even that kind of classic rock revival sound that kind of, you know, developed out of Britain in the 90s, like with the London Choir Boys and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So
These are all bands that I love or have loved, you know. Like
mhm.
I remember when the Choir Boys album came out when I was a kid. It's like, wow, that was really something else.
I was in ninth grade when the Choir Boys came out, and I just remember thinking like, you know, they came out around the same time the Black Crows came out,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
exactly. I love those two.
it was the Black Crows and the Choir Boys, and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
yeah, I listened to the Choir Boys debut a lot more than the Black
yeah,
Crowes debut. You know?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I couldn't really protest what you're saying because I don't really listen to that much new music. I don't listen to music at all. Because I noticed that I tend to write less of my own music when I do listen to music because there's so much good music out there, you know.
Mhm.
And whenever I'm in a period where I'm listening to a lot of music, I tend to not want to write another song. It's like, why should I write another song? There's already so much good stuff out there. I mean, what's the point? I mean, you know, but I mean, I realize that, you know, the songs has to be written all over again, even about the same themes like the love, life, death, all those like big themes that we tend to write about. Um, so, but yeah, but I'm really inspired by American music, but I think mostly, yeah, Allman Brothers that you said. Also, you know, Marshall Tucker Band, the Outlaws, all that Southern rock. We were
Mhm.
really inspired by that in the beginning. I don't know if you have you heard any of our older albums yet, or
Yes, yes. Matter of fact, I was just earlier today. I was listening to the debut that came out in 2008,
mm,
and that influence really came through on the song "Lost in the Woods," which I thought was such a great, like, I don't know, everything about the sound that I've gotten has been a very southern, you know, North American sound. So yeah, I grew up in the Southeast, you know, so that music was very familiar when I heard it, which
and while for us it's something really exotic, you know, it's something like almost like mythical proportions for a guy living in a small town in northern Sweden, you know. But it has its similarities, perhaps. I think.
so how did that music reach you all the way in Sweden? How old were you when that music clicked with you?
I was actually pretty old when that kind of like southern rock bands hit me. I mean, I grew up like most kids in Sweden, like in the 80s. We're all like metal kids from the beginning. The whole band is like grew up and it was, you know, it was Motorhead, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, and Metallica, and later Guns N' Roses, and you know stuff like that. So, but I think it was I was I was in my 20s, or maybe I moved to Stockholm when I was 18. So,
Mhm.
and that kind of broadened my horizon a bit. You know, we had like one record store here in Houston where I live now again, but you know, you took whatever, you know, you checked the heavy metal section and the rock section, and it's like, what is this? You know, I had no idea that, you know, Iron Maiden had a new album come out because there was no way to find out, you know. So it's like, whoa. And then, so I guess I was 18, 19. I discovered the Doors, Velvet Underground, and there was like Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen. Bob Dylan is a huge influence for me, at least lyric wise. Uh, and you know, then it kind of, so I think I quit playing. I used to be a drummer in a lot of metal and like punk
Mhm.
oriented bands. Uh, then I started singing in my early 20s, and by then I was through with metal. I don't think I could be a very good metal singer, actually. So it's like, that's not the reason why I quit, I think. Maybe it was. I don't know. But I wasn't a very good drummer as well. I was too impatient to practice. You have to practice a lot to be a great drummer. And I didn't have it in me. I was too restless.
Growing up in the 80s, we didn't have, like you said, access to things like, the internet and things like that to kind of see what else was going on. So really the only thing that, someone like me could do was to find a band that I liked, and then I would go to the record store and go, okay, who else sounds close to this that and he would point out like 3 bands, and then I would go buy their records, and I think it was about the same time for me. Like, I guess when I was about 22, 23 was that kind of more melodic sound, like I got really into like the Grateful Dead and stuff, and started following bands around and smoking a lot of pot and stuff. But that music, not so much that it's easier to play, but it's more like it's a more timeless thing to play, because I feel like it's a style of music that we can play even into our much older years, and it's not as physically demanding.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think we have even seen yet how old these kind of really like trash, death, black metal bands can get. I mean, we know that Rolling Stones, they can be really fucking old and play this music, and they probably will for another 10 years as well. But I mean, for music that like kind of tends to be more like sports, like last beat, it's a physical limit to how long you're gonna be able to play that, I think. I mean, Slayer, they retired now because of his mic problems or whatever. But I think that would be interesting if I live long enough to see how long these bands can put up with that insane sportsmanship.
I had a conversation with a friend of mine over dinner last week, and we were talking about all the bands that we love, and I said, isn't it weird to think though that in our lifetime so many of these great bands are gonna
die,
like be gone, like they're gonna die, which is inevitable. But and so to kind of echo back to what you were saying was that, I totally get the concept of why should I write this song or play this music because someone else is doing it. To me, it's keeping it alive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I know that, but it's just something that I get. I mean, some musicians that I know have to listen to a lot of music to get inspired. I realize that I'm the opposite. I tend to also like unconsciously start stealing stuff, that I it's like, whoa, this is a really great song. Like, oh, listen to this. And it's like, hey, that's an old Bob Dylan song. It's like, really? Yeah, it is. Okay. I want to be as uninfluenced about everything as possible when I write.
So you guys have been around for 14 years.
No, 16.
16, sorry, 16 years. Yeah, of course.
We put out our first album 2008, so that's 14 years ago.
Like that is a good long time for a band to be together. That's longer than any band I've ever been in. Like,
Yeah, me too. It's this was the first time I had some review from, I think, from a Spanish magazine last week for the album, and they said Hellsingland Underground, the hard rock veterans. And I'm like, yes, we're finally veterans.
We're veterans. I mean,
and that's the thing that we wanted from the beginning, because we were only in our 30s when we started this band, and we thought we were kind of old start a band in our 30s.
Mhm.
Some of them were under 30 as well, but I was 35 and I'm 51 now. So
Mhm.
and then we were like, yeah, I can't wait till we've been doing this for like, I don't know, 16 years or something. And like people start seeing us as a veteran band, because those are the kind of people that I look up to, those who has been around for a long time, you know.
Right. Well, so let me ask you this, because obviously, like we're very close in age and of the same generation. Was it hard for you to to evolve alongside technology as it changed over the years from a musical standpoint, or was it kind of exciting for you that you're like, okay, I've got to keep up with technology in order to not get lost?
Yeah, I mean, it was easy for me because I really love the new technology. I mean, it's like I have friends that say that, you know, like you should just put an end to the internet, you know, just kill it. It's like it's no good. I can understand in a way what they're saying, because but I think that, you know, to have the opportunities. When I grew up, I was just spending my days uh, drawing a lot, painting. I'm also an artist. I do like record covers and mural paintings and stuff. I've been doing
Oh,
that
wow.
for,
Okay.
yeah, that's another interview perhaps.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. You can check out Charlie Granberg underscore art at Instagram. You can see my stuff there.
Oh, I would love that. I'd love to go
Yeah.
check that out. Yeah.
I did the
Well,
latest Helicopters album. Have
did
you
you
seen
do
that
that
one?
cover?
Yeah, yeah.
That is amazing. Wow.
Thanks.
You know, well, and that's interesting because did your art, like as far as painting and drawing and stuff, did that kind of go hand in hand with music for you, or did one come
Yeah,
first?
yeah. The art came much earlier because I've been like painting and drawing for before I can even remember. I mean,
Hmm.
my mom used to say that she was a teacher, and she brought this like big rolls of paper that she just
I
pull up
remember
on
those.
the hallway, and I just lay there for hours and painted. So I've been doing that. Like that's just something that's so natural that I do all the time.
Hmm.
Don't even think about it. But I've been living off my art for 20 years at least now, I think. So yeah, I mean, since I do all our record covers, except for the last the one before this one, my friend did because I was
Hmm.
so out of ideas. But and I also do like our music videos, and yeah, I think it's for me it's like all art. Our music is art, and I'm very like it's very important with the, you know, the album covers has always been important,
Hmm.
even when I was a kid, and you know, listening to that Power Slave or whatever it was, Iron Maiden, watching the cover, you know, like still
They were
nerd.
so, I used to love those records, you know, because there were so many things to look at and see, all the little
Yeah,
hidden symbols, and oh, can you find the little Mickey Mouse and whatever. But
exactly.
and then album art kind of disappeared with CDs because but now
Yeah,
with the vinyl resurgence over the past, you know, 8 years or so, like you're getting some incredible artwork again.
yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that. For me, I've been doing record covers for over 20 years, and for me, it's, you know, it's very welcome. It's so much more fun to you know, to start. It's like now most of the bands that I do a cover for, they do both vinyl and CD. So I
Mhm.
always start with the vinyl. It's like I don't really care about the CD. I do an album cover, then you shrink it, you know, like you used to do when the CD was new, you know. So
Right.
I don't care that it's supposed to like be really clear to read everything on a CD. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's maybe the record company have something to say about it sometimes, but most of the time I think vinyl. Even though it's, I mean, it's not it's easy to think that vinyl is huge now, but it's not. It's not huge. If you compare record sales, I mean, CD is still the biggest medium. If you take the whole world, like in Japan, they still buy CDs like crazy. Germany as well.
I was just gonna say, like, and it's kind of surprising to me too, because you would think it would be kind of a medium that wouldn't still be thriving, but bands still come through town and go on tour, and they sell probably more CDs than they do vinyl, mainly just because it's a little more affordable for people to buy.
I don't buy CDs anymore. I either buy vinyl or listen to Spotify, because I never really liked the CD. It was like when it came, I think it destroyed I like the album artwork. So I've never been a big fan of CDs. But I think it's back to the thing that you started asking about the new technique. I think it's fantastic with Spotify. I mean, even if they pay us artists very poorly, I mean, but for me as a consumer, it's, I mean, to just have the history of recorded music with one tapped way, it's amazing. And also, I mean, I use my iPad to sketch now. If I'm gonna paint a big wall or something, I use my Apple Pencil, and that's just something that I think it's amazing. And you can record simple or pretty complex demos in GarageBand that comes for free in every iPhone. It's like a 24-channel studio. If I had that when I was a kid, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't sit here today.
I know we would have been so excited, because I remember my first demo tape ever with my heavy metal band in 1992. We had a 4-track recorder, but only one channel worked. And so we had a microphone plugged in, and we threw it over the rafter of our rehearsal room and just hung it and then we just it was terrible sounding,
Yeah, but can't you like think back to those days? And because I had we had 4 channels working actually.
Oh, well, you had 3 more than me.
Yeah, luxury. No, but I remember how incredibly creative we were when we were doing those, because I think you had to, like, if you put down drums on like one channel, then bass and one guitar, and then vocals, and then in order to have like backing vocals, you had to like
put bounce stuff the together. Tracks. Yes.
Yeah. So it was like, oh, we do this, and like you always kept the most important parts, so you had to be really careful, what you did. Now you can record a whole bunch of stuff and see later what you're gonna be keeping. That's harder. I mean, it's okay, because usually we have like a pretty clear vision, like before we even record a song, what we want to do. But I think and I know it's hard for some people to have too many opportunities, like maybe we should put a string quartet here, or maybe some horns, like you can do everything. So it's kind of exhausting.
I agree with you. It's funny because it's like we've been given somehow like a lot more options than we were given as kids, but you have to kind of restrain yourself from going, can I really do like 13 guitar tracks, like when, in different keys, like, but do I want to do 13 guitar? Probably not, I
mean, what's the point?
Well, so speaking of recording and everything, the new album, it's got such a, it's got such a warm kind of classic sound to it. Now, do you guys go the analog process when it comes to recording, or do you guys go digital?
Yeah, I mean, there's no point in doing the analog process these days, because sooner or later you have to transform that analog tape into a digital mastering board. Then you have to put it into zeros and ones to go up on I mean, you lose that. I don't know. Some say it's like, oh, but it's another one, when you record on tape. Maybe that's true. I don't know. I mean, I've been recording on tape in previous bands, and of course, when you grew up, because there wasn't any option to it. But with this band, ever since the first album, we started recording that in 2007 and came out in 2008. So it's all been digital, and I don't know. I don't have a problem. I mean, the thing also with us is that a lot of people, and I understand that they see like this kind of like retro sounding band, which we are. I mean, we intentionally don't use, like, we would never do like loops or stuff like that, or drum machines.
Right.
I shouldn't say never, but I'm pretty sure we like to be a band that kind of like lives and breathes a bit more. But
you don't have to, because you've actually got a capable band, right? So like, if you've got all the people, like, why would you want to go use a drum machine?
No, I also remember like back in the 90s when all these metal bands used like distorted loops, like then chop up all the guitars, and I remember thinking that this would sound really unmodern in time. It sounded really like on the edge and modern there, and it really sounds really unmodern now, because while we try to like be band that could come out today or 50 years ago, that's but I mean, we have a lot of modern influence. I listen to all kind of music. When I do listen to music, I don't listen to a lot of rock music. It could be classic music, electronic music, even like Swedish gangster rap, or stuff like that. I think some of it is pretty good. I almost don't want to admit it, but I do.
That's something that's very good for any artist to do, kind of like what you were talking about earlier, about how listening to some music can kind of shape how you're going to write a song, and because we might steal a little something. Because you said that Dylan was a huge influence on you. I noticed that right away when I heard Young and Dumb. Like, to me, that was a Dylan lyric right away.
That's well, thank you. I take that as a big compliment. So funny with that specific song, because I heard now this is the third artist that it's been because I think that the way I sing in the verses is kind of different. I never sang like that before. Oh yeah, about my friend. he said, who is a hardcore musician, he said that I can't believe I'm saying this, but it actually sounds a bit like Motorhead. And I was like, whoa, I never heard that about me, and I don't think I will hear it again. But it's interesting. And you said Dylan, so it's like a lot of different people in there. Dylan, Iggy, Lemmy. So yeah.
With a sound like Hellsingland Underground, is that it's like, obviously there's a lot of influences in there, but instead of just sounding like one, there's little bits of everything in there, and some things that appeal to me as a listener. I go, oh, I hear that Dylan, or I hear that Allman Brothers, because that's what I love, and the fact that someone else heard Motorhead in there. Now that you've said that, I might go back and listen and go, oh, I do hear some Lemmy there. You know what I mean? No, I heard more Dylan and Zappa,
I don't think so. I can't hear it myself, but yeah, but I think there's a lot of, I mean, yeah. I think that's more correct. You're the winner in this comparison competition. But I think it's kind of boring for bands. There's a lot of bands nowadays, I think, that they only have like one influence. It's like, okay, we like AC/DC, so we sound exactly like AC/DC, or we like Led Zeppelin, so we're gonna try to sound exactly like Led Zeppelin or Metallica, or whatever. I hear that a lot, and it can be okay, but for me it's kind of boring. Why would I listen to a half-ass copy of Led Zeppelin when there's the real Led Zeppelin? I mean, that's just me. I mean, fine, they want to do that. If other people want to listen to it, but I'm not interested. You know.
See, and to me, that's what I love about, a lot of the newer bands that or not so much newer bands, but bands over the past 10 years or so, is that, again, especially the bands from Sweden and Finland and Germany or whatever, like everybody seems to have a sound that really attracts me, but doesn't make me feel like I'm listening to something that's been done, but done better. Like I feel like I've heard bands before that sound like Zeppelin, and I'm like, Greta Van Fleet, and I'm like, if I want to listen to Led Zeppelin, I'm gonna go listen to Zeppelin. I'm not gonna listen to a band that sounds just like them. But like with the songs on Endless Optimism, one of the things I loved is that even though you've got this kind of a core sound, because it seems like because you have so many different influences, each song seems to kind of pull a little heavier from a different influence each time as opposed to one. How do you do that? Like, how do you, I mean, is it like do you do it without thinking, or like, how do you do that?
Yeah, I think I've been from the beginning of this band. I mean, I've been playing in a lot of, all of us have been playing in a lot of like really like unsuccessful bands that didn't make it anywhere. And I think it was, I mean, when you're younger, you're more like insecure, and you like you want to sound like your favorite band or whatever. But right, I think I realized before even starting this band that if I'm gonna do this again, I had a like a big break from music for like 5 years where I didn't write any music. I mean, I did some. I hung around with a guy in a studio just playing around, but no band or anything. But I told myself that if I'm gonna do a band again, I'm gonna have to do try to like isolate what is me, try to be as much me as possible. And together with the other guys in the band, I always told them like, how do you want me to play in the beginning of this band? It's like I wanted to I want you to play like you, like what you love. That will be the most interesting thing for this song. If you just be you, don't try to. I'm not gonna drop any influences what I want it to sound like. I'm not gonna play you a song that maybe it's something like this. I just think that it has always been important for us to be as much us as possible. So I think, and then you can draw from different stuff. I mean, I've been, if people knew this, I've been drawing a lot of influence from ABBA, from hip hop, from like electronic music, even just like some melody parts or like a feeling or an atmosphere, or classic music, jazz. It's like a mixture that goes through the filter of of me and the band, sort of, and then it becomes hopefully something original.
Well, like I said, in listening to the music, I was so taken back, because there's nothing more exciting for me than discovering a new band that you've never heard before, and then all of a sudden being like, oh, where has this band been all my life? And so of course I went back and I listened to all the albums. And again, like you and I were talking about, like, being close in age and in the same generation, like, it's pretty inspiring to know that at our age, like, you can still find some moderate success in a band. So how does that make you feel at 51 to be like, wow, I'm getting some credibility here that I didn't get when I was in my 20s?
Yeah, it's fantastic. What do they say? Youth is wasted on the young. Have you heard that?
We're proof of that, right? Like you and me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in some ways, you could like have wished up like success. I don't know if we never saw ourselves as a successful band, but I mean, for us, we are successful. I mean, this is what I mean, now we have our own studio, can record as much as we want. We are able to tour at least Europe. Dream is to come over to the States, as has always been a main goal for us to come over to the States as like a dream that we hope will happen someday. And I mean, yeah, I think it's nice to know that. I mean, we when we started, we were, as I said, we were in our 30s, and we when people ask me, oh, what kind of music are you playing? It's like old man's rock, like beard rock, you know, like all this, like people were like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, like old people's music that's like much older than us. I mean, all our idols are like twice the age almost, you know, Bob Dylan and all those guys. But so yeah, I think it's great, and it feels also like this is, as you mentioned earlier, this is kind of music that we could do until we're really old, like really fucking old.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a limit. And I can see myself pulled up in a wheelchair, and you know, like young and dumb.
as long as my fingers still work, I don't care if anything else doesn't work, you know. Like, I just want to be, if I can play, I'm gonna play, you know. Well, what are your plans now? The album's coming out, or the album's out already, and like, are you guys doing some shows now? Or are you waiting till the new year to go out and start playing again?
Yeah, we had a release party in Stockholm on a boat. We rented a big boat, and it was our first sold out show in Stockholm, actually. And it's hard for a rock band to do that in Stockholm.
Congratulations, by the way.
So we were really. Oh, thanks. It was like a big wobbly boat of pirates, you know. People, they were really happy. The owners of the boat, they were really happy because they had never sold so much beer on any show before. They're like, yeah, our fans are pretty thirsty. Like, yeah, welcome back anytime, man. Anytime. So they were really happy. It was like we called it the Hellsingland Underground release rumble, and that felt like more like a rumble than a concert. It's like a big boat of drunken pirates.
I've seen footage of you guys playing pool parties. That's pretty fucking awesome.
That was during the pandemic. That was kind of only, you know, they had this, maybe in the States as well, but they had this limit on 50 people. You could play for 50 people.
Yeah.
So we did a few of those. A pool party. That was great. and Peter also jumped in the pool with his clothes on during the last song or something. I think it's in the video for Hustling Around. Have you seen that?
That's the one I saw.
Hustling Around video. That's from there. Totally unplanned. Everyone was like, what the hell? About the future plans. Yeah, we have a book tour in Spain. We toured a lot in Spain. So I think we have our biggest audience in Spain, actually. That's where we've been playing like big festivals and touring there a couple of times. So we have a lot of like really hardcore fans in Spain. I don't know what it is with Spain, but we love Spain, has always loved Spain. Everyone in this band loves Spain. We all want to live there instead of this freezing cold Sweden. And I don't know, it's just something we connect with the Spaniards. So and then we have a before that we have a thing that I can't really talk about, but it's a kind of a concert, or many concerts, but it's a special kind of concert, but I can't say it yet. I will get back to you on that. That we are planning for right now, and we have some Swedish shows booked, but it's kind of hard to these days to get a proper tour in Sweden for a band on our level. Was much easier in the beginning because it was we had this like all cities had like a hotel where they had like a discotheque, and they had like a rock bar in the basement, and we could play there. Sometimes they would even like stop the disco for an hour or two, and we could play a show, and then like again. So it was like really weird, but it was a lot of more opportunities. I mean, these days it's like mainly we had a summer tour this last summer for a week, and that was really nice. But there was some festivals and great like outdoor stages kind of thing, like big park for 3,000 people. It was a free show, but the city paid for it. Katrineholm and yeah, similar stuff like that. It's easier in the summer because it's so cold and people, I don't want to go out. It's cold. we used to tour Germany a lot back in the day as well, but then we had like a fallout with our German booking company, and we haven't really recovered in Germany after that. So we still, we had some shows booked when the pandemic struck. So we'll see if we can pick up that thread again. So we'll see. And hopefully the States, we have our threads out in the States. One guy in California was shopping around, some contacts, but you don't know where. It's such a big country, so you don't know where to start even, a dream situation. If anyone listens out there who has like a venue, a club or something, the dream situation would be to, pretty big city, I think it must be, but to come to one place and play there every night, because we know, and this is not bragging, we know that whatever audience we play for, we kind of lure them in. They can come in to a show and have never heard anything about us or our music before. And by the end of the show, they walk away as fans. That's just a fact. So we are a really good live band, and we know that the next time we come there, there's going to be more people, and so it's all a matter of continuity. So I think to go to the States and just play like one place or maybe two places or something like that, I know we could like pull a bigger and bigger crowd. So you have to, we're getting old, so there's a lot of cities in America to do that, but hopefully, I don't know.
I've seen bands do it really well. Graveyard does really well here in the States. Lucifer does well here, and I think you're right. I think it's also, if you can get on a good tour, expose yourself to an audience. If you're a good enough band, like, you can capture that audience. And just listening to the album captured me, so I can only imagine what it would be like if I saw you live.
We're better live, I think. A lot of people say that. I love your albums, but once I saw you live, it's like a whole different thing. It's another level of expression, or whatever they say. It's I don't know what that is. I think with this album, we really tried to capture that live feeling more than we have on the previous albums. So, but it is a different thing because it's both visual and louder volume.
But then you also have the physical energy of seeing, 5 guys, 6 guys, or however many are going to be there at the time. You know what I mean? Like, actually performing and sweating. And I can already tell just by listening to the music that your live show is going to be a high energy show. Yeah,
they are. And there's a lot of like connection with the audience. I focus on the audience all the time. It's like if I see one guy in the back just standing like this, like I try to get him smiling. That's my goal for the evening. So we're not a like shoegazing band, stuff like this. So we're really like much about like reaching out and drag them in, and like in the best nights, it's all like it's no real limit between the stage and the audience. It's like one big mass of energy. That's like the goal that we have every night. So People can tell that.
People know when they're seeing something real. And my favorite, some of my favorite shows are the shows that at the end of the show I'm exhausted, from just being like, oh, there's so much energy like that. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going home now.
Yeah. That's the goal. And also there's a lot of improvisation going on our shows as well. It's like not one concert is exactly like other. I mean, there's a lot of like, whoa, what happened in that song that took another turn? I mean, we have some places, it's not like we improvise, like all of a sudden in a verse, a guitar solo or something. But I mean, some places that are open for, if we get the feeling, it's like, then you can get carried away and do whatever, and people have to be like on their toes and just catch on to that guy, There's a lot of improvisation, jamming and stuff.
That's the best part of that kind of music too, is because you're not so locked in to having to do things so structurally, so if the moment calls for it and like you're really feeling something right then and there, you could act on it and not feel like you're throwing the whole song away.
And also act if there's something going on in the audience, you can act upon that and pick that up. It's like, I think that's what I love about playing live, is that there's no other situation where you are so in the now. It's like a big, massive super now. It's like you're so there and you pay attention to what the other guys are doing in the band, what the audience are doing, the atmosphere in the room, and everything. It's like the more energy we get from the crowd, the more we give back, and it's like waves. Like this is magic. I mean, there's no other way to describe it, I think.
Well, so one last thing before we go is I have to ask you about this press release that drew me in. Your 16-year-old daughter wrote this. Did she write this 100% on her own?
Yeah, she spoke it and I wrote it down, and I tried to get her to write something positive, as it say in the. But she was like, she was doing something else. She was baking a cake in the kitchen. It's like, I have been doing this for 16 years, writing press release for every release. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, oh, Hellsingland Underground is back with their strongest album to date. And, it's such a cliche. I felt like I was lying or something. It's like, can you write a press release? I was like, what the hell is a press release? No, it's just something for journalists and stuff to become interested in our band. And she said, why would anyone be interested in your band? Yeah, okay, maybe we should start there. Why would anyone say, okay, keep on going. She said, be nasty now, come on. I know you can do this. And she just kept on going. It's like, okay, but what is it you're gonna be promoting? Oh, did you know that we have a new album coming out? Oh, an album. It's like, yeah, an album. Oh, that you can play on that thing in your living room. That the black thing that spins around. Exactly. Why would anyone want to play music from something that old and stupid? It's like, it's just hard even to put it on. I mean, how could I get anyone interested? And I just kept on writing. So I wrote everything that she was just saying to me. I wrote it down, and then I as I said, I pushed her to at least say something positive, but I also pushed her to, okay, I know you can be meaner than this. Come on, be mean. Like, and then she started to talk about how we smelled like Germany, even if we haven't been on tour in Germany. You always like Germany when you come back. Doesn't matter if you've been to Spain or in Sweden or any other country, you always smell like Germany, because that was one thing that she said when she was like 88 or something. When we were in Germany, I came back from Germany, and every time like, oh, Dad, you smell like Germany. Because we hadn't showered. on the bus for 3 days straight or something.
I just loved it because the first line of the whole thing, it says, "My dad and his gang of smelly bearded geezers release another record. Good for them." The minute I read this, I was like, wait a minute. Smelly bearded geezer, that's me. I should probably listen to this. You know? So I actually even wrote your PR person, John Freeman, who I've known for many years, and to set this interview up. And I told him, I said, that dude's daughter needs a job, man. Like that is, yeah, I hope she gets a good job doing this, because that was incredible.
She actually has gotten 3 offers from like promotion firms in Stockholm after this. Like, she's welcome to come work for us anytime. It's like, and I said, you know, yesterday, big, like a national radio station called me up and said that this press release is fantastic. Would you like to come here and bring your daughter so we could interview? I told him, like, I don't think she will want to do this, but I will ask. And she was like, no, why the hell would I do something like that? I was like, because they're interested, because you wrote the press release of the fucking century. She's like, you don't get it. But she's funny. She's mean and funny.
She's mean and funny. Well, I'll be honest, Charlie, it was a great press release. It obviously did a great job because it turned me onto your band. And I have to say, I absolutely love you guys, and I love Endless Optimism. It's definitely one of my favorite albums of this year. And man, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today and to be on my podcast.
I'm the one who should thank you. I haven't been doing a lot of like these kind of interviews with the States before. This is like, yeah, I've been doing some like mail interviews and stuff earlier on, but this is face to face. This is like the first couple of interviews that I'm doing right now today, and you are the third today.
How do you like it? Do you like it better than the typing? And you know,
yeah, much more. It feels like being at your place, watching your guitars and stuff. And you seem like a nice person. I'd love to.
We need to keep in touch too, so that way I can get you here to Atlanta to take over.
Sounds like a plan. Really nice talking to you.
It was great talking to you too, and good luck with the album.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon. Have a nice night.
I live by the river in my childhood town, watching the days go by in these altered times. I've been around the world and I destroyed what I saw. I'm really sorry to tell you, I might have ruined it all. I had so many chances, I guess I blew them all. I say I'm alright most of the time, even when I'm filled with pain, even when my heart is breaking. Oh, what man can't complain, even though my song might be set in and my pretty face are going to hell, even though the world is dying. Oh, what man can't complain. I got a couple of friends left, they all play in my band. Might just be the whole reason, may we never forget. Cause now we need excuses to keep on being ourselves.